Take a moment and look around you. Your phone, your laptop, the router sending Wi-Fi through the walls, the television, the lights with their dimmers, every charger, every speaker, every microcontroller embedded inside a modern car. All of it is built from the same small group of fundamental components. And when I say small, I mean that in every sense of the word. Some of these components are so tiny you could fit dozens of them on your fingernail. Others are barely visible to the naked eye. And yet, without them, nothing works. Not your smartphone, not the internet, not the computer that helps doctors diagnose illness, not the aircraft navigation system, and not the server farms that are right now processing billions of pieces of data every single second. Let that land for a moment. 3 categories of components, just 3, from the backbone of nearly all modern electronics. The first is a resistor. Without resistors, electrical current would flow without any control, burning through components in an instant. Second is the capacitor. Without capacitors, the voltage in your devices would be unstable, flickering and spiking in ways that would corrupt data and destroy circuits. And the third, perhaps the most important invention of the 20th century, is the transistor. Without transistors, there would be no microprocessors, no computers, no internet as we know it. The modern world in its current form would simply not exist. Today, in part 3 of our series Electronics Explained, we are going to study all 3. We are going to understand what they are, why they exist, what they actually do inside a circuit, and how they work together to make real devices function. By the end of this lecture, you will look at any piece of electronics, a phone, a motherboard, a router, and no longer see a mysterious tangle of components. You will start to see a system, a language, a logic. This is not going to be a dry formula-heavy physics lecture. We are going to build real understanding using real-world examples, step by step. Take your time with this. Pause when you need to. Replay sections. Learning electronics is not a race. It is a slow accumulation of understanding. And today you are adding 3 very important pieces to that foundation. Let us begin. Before we go further, let us take a moment to revisit what we have already covered in this series. Part 1, we talked about electricity itself, what it actually is, and at a fundamental level. We discussed electrons, tiny particles that carry electrical charge, and we learned that electricity is essentially the movement of those electrons through a conductor. In part 2, we went deeper into the 3 core concepts that describe how electricity behaves in a circuit: voltage, current, and resistance. Let me quickly refresh those ideas, because we are going to use them constantly today. Voltage is electrical pressure. Think of it like the pressure in a water pipe. The higher the voltage, the greater the force pushing electrons through the circuit. We measure voltage in volts, abbreviated as the letter V. Current is the actual flow of electrons, the rate at which charge moves through the circuit. If voltage is pressure, current is the flow itself. We measure current in amperes or amps, abbreviated as the letter A. And resistance is the opposition to that flow. Just as narrow a pipe restricts water, resistance restricts electron flow. We measure resistance in ohms, represented by the Greek letter omega. That symbol looks a little like a horseshoe. These 3 are connected by one of the most important laws in all of electronics, Ohm's law. We will revisit that law very soon, because it sits at the heart of our first component. One more thing to remember from our earlier sessions: a circuit is simply a closed loop through which electricity can flow. Electricity needs a complete path from the power source through the components and back to the source. If that loop is broken anywhere, current stops. Hold on to those ideas.